This was not the plan. And honestly, whenever I think about it, it's overwhelming. When I started the carnivore diet, I had no idea this kind of thing could happen. And it happened so smoothly that I didn't really notice it at first. But when I finally did notice it, the fact I was no longer in pain was one of the most emotionally overwhelming things I'd ever experienced. Let me explain. But first, do me a massive favor and smash the like button and also consider subscribing. It really helps me to grow the channel and be another voice out there promoting the carnivore diet. About a year and a half ago, I was working on a Sunday. I was working in a crowded classroom. As children studied, I was navigating around desks, checking their work. As I moved around, I suddenly felt this sharp pain in my left knee. I couldn't shake it off, and after about a minute or two, I also had pain in my lower back. It felt as though I was being attacked by something, and I was kind of anxiously waiting for the pain to start somewhere else. I spent the rest of the working day in a chair and moving as little as possible. The lower back pain cleared up by the morning, but the knee pain was here to stay. I couldn't sit cross-legged, I couldn't kneel down, I struggled to walk up the stairs, and when I was walking I couldn't do it properly, and I certainly couldn't hustle or run anywhere. The fact that my right side is compromised from having a stroke over 30 years ago means that I'd been relying on my left-hand side to compensate. So now with my left side compromised too, I was in real trouble. Before I was walking with a limp, now I was walking like a crippled monkey. I put up with this for about 2 or 3 weeks before realizing this is not going to improve. And I went to an orthopedic clinic to get it checked. Result? Arthritis. The doctor gave me some kind of steroid injection to relieve the pain and told me I'd need to come weekly for rehabilitation. I was starting to feel really old. But the steroid injection helped and I did feel better as I walked out of the clinic. Not quite as heavy. By the next week, the pain was back to almost the same level it had been before I had the steroid injection. So I had another steroid injection and then the rehabilitation. The pain was a little bit more manageable over the next week, but I still couldn't sit cross-legged or kneel down. And standing up after I'd been sitting on the floor was a real struggle. Ordinarily, I don't like using medications if I can help it, so the next week I declined the steroid injection and had the rehabilitation only. And this continued for months. And the rehabilitation kept me just good enough so that I didn't have to seek out a more extreme option like steroid injections or painkillers. So I kept the rehabilitation up. One day, though, I stopped going. And that one day wasn't long after I started carnivore. At first, I noticed I wasn't in as much pain as I was walking. Some time went by until I realized that standing up after I'd been sitting on the floor, which is something we do a lot in Japan, wasn't a struggle anymore. A few more weeks go by and then I realize I can kneel down or sit cross-legged without excruciating pain. It still hurt a bit and it was a little bit stiff, but I could do it. And this continued to improve with time until now it feels like there was never a problem at all. One of my biggest victories throughout this ordeal has been gaining back the ability to run. Since the arthritis had developed in my knee, I was no longer able to run. If I had even thought about running, even just to cross the road, my subconscious or some kind of memory would send out this alarm signal saying, "Don't do this, it's going to hurt." But a couple of days after everything had improved, I was going shopping and I needed to run across the road before the walk signal turned red. So I started to run. And in the split second before I started running, I got that alarm signal again. "Don't do this, it's going to hurt." But I ignored the signal and it didn't hurt. And actually, I suddenly felt 20 years younger as I sprinted across the road. The feeling of lightness is hard to describe. It feels like I've been unshackled from something. The best way I can sum this up is to say that starting carnivore gave my joints the oil they needed after having nothing for so long. So I'm not a doctor and you definitely shouldn't listen to me. But if you've got arthritis or joint pain and you're sick of taking medications constantly just to manage the problems, then it's worth giving the Carnivore Diet a try. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.